Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the Rich Equation podcast.
Hi, Ash. Good morning. It's still morning. Good morning.
Good morning, late morning. I'm really excited for you to be here. I'm excited for this conversation. I'm really glad that you agreed to do this with me. You have such a deep wealth of experience and knowledge, and you've achieved such great success, but are continuing to really challenge yourself and put yourself out there and take your life, business, personal, professional, everything to the next level. And you've just really leaned into that this last couple of years as I've known you. So I thought it would be such a great talk and discussion to hear for the audience today. And so, I'm just honored that you're here. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure. I do anything for you. You've really been someone in my life since we've gotten to know each other the last couple of years that I think has been very influential. I admire so many things about you. And so I'm happy to do it. Thank you.
I'm like your number one fan.
You really are.
So let's start with that, because we've met each other. We're in a CEO networking group, and we met each other more from a professional standpoint. You've achieved some really great business success in your career. You're a CEO mom. You're trying to find balance and harmony in both your business and professional life. Tell us about some of the biggest lessons you've had in the last year in really trying to uncover some of this in terms of what you've been dealt with from a business perspective. You walked in a group of people who are also entrepreneurs and have learned so much. So I want to start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things I've learned over the course of the last couple of years is to really try to prioritize my family. And it feels a little bit like shameful to say, because like, how could you not always be prioritizing your family? But I think sometimes you get so immersed in the business and growing the business and the desire to build something great with the business. You might feel fulfilled from that in a different way than you feel fulfilled with your family. And so I think I've learned to just that I can still do that. I can still grow the business. I can still be, this boss lady, business owner, and grow the business. I just don't have to do it all myself. And I can, by hiring the right people, putting the right people in place, and, just spending that extra money that I may have been, reluctant or resistant to spend or invest, allows me so much more time with my family, and just really reduces my stress greatly. And so it allows me to actually be better on both fronts, to be a better business owner, because in reality, I'm kind of the, being at the top of the food chain, if you will, I'm the ideas person. I'm not the right person to be in the daily grind and, making sure that, processes are flowing. That really does need to be someone else. So it allows me to give my highest and best use to the company as well as to my family.
So I think a lot of entrepreneurs are on that journey, have been there, or either are there now. But before we unpack that, because I think there's a lot of gold in that journey for you, what were the stories that kept you in the grind? Like why specifically did you feel like you had to be involved in things that perhaps you were not great at, or you have achieved such a level of success that I don't even think you knew it until we were like, "Hey, Michelle, do you even realize what you got here, girl?" Yeah. Like it's pretty remarkable, right? And I think you touched on this too, that a lot of entrepreneurs start with their head down, and we're just grinding and grinding and grinding until we look up. So tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Well, I think it's about control, right? I mean, I found myself so many times saying and thinking like, nobody can do it as good as I can, so I might as well just do it. Or I'm going to be disappointed in the way someone else handles it more than likely, so I should just do it. I want it done my way, the right way. And I think I just was unwilling to relinquish the control, not realizing that once I was able to do that, it would change. It was kind of life changing. And I think I needed people that were more seasoned business owners. I mean, I've been a business owner for, it'll be 11 years this February, but we have some colleagues that have been running businesses for 30 plus years. And I think finally when I heard enough people saying, you need to hire, high level managers to help run this operation, was when I finally said, okay, I mean, they have this wealth of experience and knowledge that they're trying to impart to me. I should probably take heed and listen. And I think, that was kind of the catalyst for biting the bullet and saying, all right, I'm going to hire, for example, an operations manager, not really quite understanding what they would do on a day-to-day basis. But geez, it's, now that I've put even just that one person in place, it's allowed me to, it took a while. It wasn't like immediate where I was able to relinquish the control, but like after, after several months of seeing like, wow, this person really can do this. I was then able to sort of take a step back and give her the reins and say, kind of run with it. It's been, really a game changer.
Well, one of the big reasons why I'm one of your number one fans is because not only are you receptive, but you take action. And not to say that everyone is giving you advice is right or wrong or what have you, but you are receptive to feedback, and then you are thoughtful about what that means for you or what it means to your business or your family, and then you take action. And it's one of the things I really admire about you, because you've made so much change in your life just in a year. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe, but
yeah, definitely. I mean, and then in addition to, putting in some of the key people, the key players, and kind of like restructuring the firm, I think we've also, really focused on culture, changing the culture. And that's been also a game changer for the firm. I didn't grow up as a lawyer in, working at a firm that had, a great culture, or really any culture at all. And so it was sort of a foreign concept to me. But now, I've been a lawyer for 18 years this year. So I'm no longer like the kid, like the young one. And there's this whole generation of workers now that work for me. And I, through hearing of our colleagues' experiences and understanding how culture is so important to a firm, that we've completely overhauled that. And in fact, hired a person whose title is the Happy People and Culture Coordinator. And again, it's been, I think, it's really helping take the firm to another level. And it's someone that's taking my ideas, implementing them. And it's not something that I have to, be in total control over. So it's been great.
Yeah. And that has been probably the best journey to be watching you on, is like how you get out of your own way and help people, empower people, and really own some of the challenges that you had. Not to say that it was bad. It's just you were really intentional with what you wanted, and you were struggling on how to get there. And to hear now the retention stats and the new roles and the cultural things, it's just so exciting. And I think it's important for people to hear, because it should empower people that they can make that much change that quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you're right. The state of the firm is dramatically different than it was a year ago. And I, really couldn't be happier with the trajectory that we're on. So yeah, it's been
tell us how you manage a firm of how many people now?
I think it's about 65.
How do you manage a firm of 65? And still have a family, three kiddos, young kiddos.
Yes.
Tell us about how you're managing that and how you're finding harmony in your life there.
Right. Well, so I have 3 kids. They're 7, 6, and 4. And look, I mean, it's, I think it's the whole, it takes a village kind of thing. I have a great business partner who also has young children. And so we support each other in that. And we are very understanding of the needs of the family. My partner, my husband, is extremely supportive, takes on, a large, carries a lot of the load when it comes to the kids. And so he's very supportive. And then again, just putting in the right people at the firm to allow me to be mom when I need to be mom, and then obviously be boss lady when that time's appropriate as well. So I think it's just it's about not being afraid to ask for help and tell people what you need. I think it's a lot of, with 3 kids that are all in school and have busy schedules, it's just a lot of being extremely organized and structured, and then just having the right team of, whether it be my partner, my husband, my in-laws, a nanny, putting everybody in place to help support me so that I can, do the best by my family financially, and then just being present for them as well.
What do you tell people that are listening to this and maybe struggling finding that structure or that balance, or maybe leaning on one side or the other? Maybe they're too occupied in their business and are not spending enough time at home, or maybe they are ready to start a career, but they feel like the family life is slowing them down. What advice? Because I think you have built a life of, a full, rich life, a real balanced life. And it's not perfect. We're all working through things, but you've really owned it and taken initiative. What do you tell people that are trying to achieve same thing?
Well, I think it's, you have to give yourself grace, because it's, it's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. I mean, to your point, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job, but, there are definitely areas for improvement. I think that scheduling out your days is just very important, and building in that time to, because if you are, trying to grow a business and really wanting to focus a lot of efforts, and maybe you have to because you're the breadwinner, or, your family first and foremost, they need to eat, right? So you're focused on, how am I going to, financially make sure that the family is stable? And second to that, then how am I going to be present? I think that scheduling is very important. Like I'm in a my routine doesn't really change unless I'm traveling. So it's, making sure that, I know every day I'm the one who helps, get the kids breakfast together, and I might work for a little bit, before everybody's awake, and then start making the breakfast and, help with my daughter's hair and things like that. And then my husband takes them to school, and then having intentional time at night that is, segregated to be with the kids. And I think if you are more structured with your time, you'll find that you're actually able to check all the boxes and give focused attention, versus like, if you're just kind of like, geez, I'll, when I'm not putting out fires, I'll see what's going on with my kids. But if you are, more intentional about it. And I think, one place that I can do better, certainly, is, the phone and the emails. And, so in terms of areas of improvement for me, and where I see that I could make the biggest change, is at whatever time when I am, sort of, because as a business owner, you're never like off.
You're never off. Right.
You're never off. So, but I do think that, when I either return from the office, or I've decided to shut down the computer for the night, for all intents and purposes, I think putting away that phone and not being tempted to check emails and, get on social or do anything like that, because we need a break too. I'm not ashamed to say.
We're human. We're human too.
I scroll, I'm looking at what's going on stories. But I think that, what I would like to do is to make a goal for myself in the coming year that phone goes into a drawer, and I am just completely present, and maybe every hour, just to give myself peace of mind, to check and make sure there's not some crazy fire I need to put out, but the phone otherwise goes away. And I think that will also help with balance as well, because, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. There have definitely been times where I'm on my phone, and whether I'm, looking at work emails or researching something that, popped into my brain, or scrolling on social, and you'll hear your kid like, mom. And finally you look up, you're like, yeah. It's like, no, I want to be there and be present. And so I think that's an area where I can improve.
I think that's true for everybody. So you're totally right. And it's good to remind you that you are a human too, not some CEO cyborg mom. Like we're right. All human. We're all vulnerable to that. I just recently, apparently, like the screen time app on the Apple is, there's so many clocks. And so I spent a couple of days ago, I spent so much time trying to figure out exactly what you're talking about, is like, where do I not need to get lost on my phone? And I started locking stuff down. So It's only been a couple of days, but we'll see.
But I also think, in terms of scheduling, we also need to, as business owners, we also need to have time to like cultivate some sort of interest outside of work. And for many years, I really didn't do anything. I mean, it was, if someone were to ask me like, what are your hobbies? I remember
and family. That's it.
Right. Well, and I remember before I got married, when I was like on the dating apps and you have to fill out your, like your profile, and it wants to know your hobbies. I mean, I had just started my law firm, and I had, prior to that, had taken 4 bar exams, was just really just grinding. And I'm like, geez, you don't have any hobbies. Like, that's terrible. And so I think, the balance, striking the balance, is that's scheduling too. You have to schedule in time to do your hobbies. And I feel like most business people are very appointment driven, or like, you don't miss your appointments. If you made a commitment, then you will, if it's on your calendar, you'll do it. And so I think that's another thing for me that is important, helps me keep sanity. And I think it's also your children see that, right? When your kids, it's good.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that while your hobby may not involve your kids, they see you with your commitment, your devotion, your hard work to something other than, your job. And, I think it's really good. It's really good for them to see, and leads.
Well, let's talk about that, because you picked up a good, healthy hobby recently, and you just competed in a bodybuilding competition and won the bodybuilding competition. I want you to tell us a little bit about how that happened, how you got involved. Tell us about the journey of training and why you did it.
Sure. So I, just going back to when I was a kid, I was always athletic. I'm 5'10". I just kind of was, volleyball, basketball, softball, all of the sports, and kind of got away from it a little bit, when I was in law school and starting, the firm. But after having my kids, I got very focused again on fitness and just wanting to feel good. I was looking 40 in the eye, and I wanted to feel good on my 40th. I wanted to look good, have energy for my kids. And so a few years ago, I started really training hard with weightlifting and, taking classes and things like that, but really focusing on weightlifting. And then COVID happened, and I kept it up, but COVID, I think, caused us all to maybe eat a little more and drink a little more than we ordinarily would. And I just decided I wanted to, and I had kind of flirted with the idea of maybe doing some kind of a competition, but, I didn't really know much about it at all. So I, earlier this year, I met with a coach, and talked to her about potentially training for a competition. And so I did a 20-week, prep, and it culminated in a competition held October 8th in San Diego. And I won. I competed in 5 different categories, and I won 4 out of the 5 categories. So it was great. It was a great accomplishment, and I loved it. And what I loved about it is it was very in my wheelhouse in terms of, or very, up my alley in terms of, there were scheduled workouts, 5 days a week or more. Everything was, you need to do this many,
it provided structure. It was structured.
Yes, it was very, very structured. And I really just went all in with it, and I really enjoyed it. So, and my family was very supportive. It was a very, there were time commitments, but, because I didn't want to have it, I wanted it to disrupt my family life as little as possible. So, it just required me to wake up earlier every day, or maybe go to bed a little bit later, but it was fine. And you're eating so well and not drinking alcohol. And so it's easier to do those things, right? It's easier to wake up early in the morning, and you're just getting, very healthy. But it was, yeah, it was great.
What did you learn from that experience that you didn't expect?
I guess
I mean, you must be proud of yourself. Like
yeah,
you must feel accomplished.
yeah, I certainly do. I do. I know that in life, there have been many times where I've thought that my professional successes have not, there has been a component of, being lucky, right place, right time, making that contact that, ended up being a great client of yours or whatever. And I think that through the bodybuilding, there was, nobody lifted those weights but me. Nobody, I controlled everything that I ate and drank. And it was 100, the results were 100% within my control. And nobody could look at it and say, well, she won or she did so well because of, I came from family or, something like that. It was 100% what I did. And I think that is a really good feeling. And
so it must have created so much fulfillment, so much ownership, right? That like, wow, I actually had the horsepower to do this, and it was all me. So much confidence building.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. And in addition to that, it was, I guess I was surprised to see how far I could take, fitness and how like to that level. I had never done it before. I would weight lift and, kind of, it was, I had goals, like aesthetic goals. This was a far cry from anything that I ever thought that I could accomplish.
I think it's really, not to get so, well, yes, to get so deep on this is I think it's interesting that, you've achieved so much business success, and yet we still doubt ourselves in our own personal contribution to our success. There's still this like voice inside that says, but you didn't do it all. Like almost this self-doubt. And I think all entrepreneurs have it. I think it's what makes us successful, this like chip on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's really quite fascinating in contrast to like health and fitness and nutrition and all that. But you're right. Like you're completely in control of what you're putting in your mouth and what you're doing with your time and all of that, which, entrepreneurship, there is a lot of circumstantial luck and things that can challenge you, but yet we're still so hard on ourselves. I know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, with doing the competition is it's, even though with the business, right, you always have goals, right? You're working towards whether it's bringing on that, big, client or, growing your top line revenue or whatever your business goals are. Those are always there. It's nice to have goals in some other area as well, like to have some other sort of achievement, I think. And so now I'm kind of like, well, what's next?
What is next?
Yeah. So given the fact that I won certain of those categories, it makes me nationally qualified to compete on a national stage. And in those shows, you can earn your pro card, so you can be considered a professional bodybuilder. I wouldn't really say that I have, dreams of becoming a professional bodybuilder. I more so think that it would be cool and rewarding to say I've competed at a national level. The shows are much bigger than the local show that I did, just a lot bigger and better competition.
Next level.
So maybe I'll do that. But it's not, a lot of the people that are into bodybuilding, they do it as part of like their career. So, they're either personal trainers or, dietitian, nutritionists, or, they're trying to bring on people that they can coach for these things. Obviously this is it's truly just a hobby for me. So, I'd like to find, I don't know. I mean, I think I probably will do another competition, but then after that, maybe look for something else, fitness oriented that will help me, keep those, keep me going, keep those the juices flowing, if you will, and give me another goal to achieve.
You know what showing up for me as you talk about all this is that it reminds me in your story that, most successful people do not focus on the destination, right? Because no matter what destination you achieve, there's another destination right after it. And I think that why I like doing this and why I like exposing these stories is so that people can realize, look, it's not going to be when you're married with 3 kids, when you're going to be happy. It's not going to be when you're a successful lawyer. It's not going to be when you win a bodybuilding. It's that's just part of a journey. And then once you're done with that, you'll move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's what the journey of life and the journey of fulfillment is really about. And getting the wins, right? Getting the schedule, getting the discipline, getting the wins, that, I think you exemplify that really well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you know what? If I do choose to do another competition and I have that, I don't think it'll be as long as the preparation for it won't be as long as it was this time. It'll be 20 weeks. It'll be less because my starting point will be a little different. But I've already told myself that, there was this last 20 weeks of preparation, there was a lot of fear there that maybe I couldn't do it. Maybe I would fail, but I did do it. And so I'm actually really excited for the next time I do it because I know that it's going to be okay. And I'll approach it in a very different manner. And I think I'll embrace the process. I really enjoyed it. But there was those elements and components of, gosh, am I going to be able to do this for 20 weeks? Am I going to slip up? Am I going to lose, am I going to lose control, and go have a margarita, but I didn't. And so I've proven all that to myself. And so now the next time I do it, I'm actually really excited to see the results as they progress. And so, yeah, I agree. You need to enjoy the journey. And that's sometimes a hard thing to do.
Well, very few people have that level of commitment on anything, let alone just one 20-week course, right? Anything. Right. And I think it's really easy for temptation or whatever. I'm super fascinated about that. I'm thinking of all the things I want to do. I don't know if I really fully believe in myself in order to make that kind of commitment, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think, the anxiety that accompanies whether or not you can do it is far worse than actually doing it. I mean, I remember thinking how am I going to get through a whole summer of, my family taking trips to, the river and to the beach, and everybody around me is going to be, having a drink or a beer and burgers and hot, how am I going to do it? Oh, but you just commit and it's fine. And,
so good.
Yeah.
So good. What do you feel are some of the biggest lessons that you learned in 2022, and what are you looking forward to in 2023?
Well, I think I learned, my firm was severely impacted by the Great Resignation, and it caused a lot of stress, but I couldn't control it. I couldn't control that there were other employers out there that were offering my employees far more than I could pay them. I couldn't control that, there were, people that just were taking opportunities to move in different directions in their life and in their careers, given just life and what was happening with, COVID in the world. And so I think it's really taught me, you just sometimes have to give it to the universe. Whatever's going to happen, you cannot, as much as you try, you cannot control everything. And I think I've learned that it's going to be okay. I mean, there has never been a time where I tell you, things used to stress me out to the point of, I feel like it was take physical tolls on me. I'd feel all this stress and anxiety and, oh my gosh, is this going to be the end of my business? I can't tell you how many times I thought, is this going to be the end? And it has never been the end. And I think if you believe in yourself and you believe what, if this might be real bad, it might get really bad, but you know what? I'm smart. I've done it before. I have the tools. I know, I will be able to withstand the storm, and I will come out better on the other side. I think that's definitely something I've learned. I've learned to, take the advice of others, even when it might seem like it, at least give it a try, at least, be receptive and open to maybe ideas and concepts that, I maybe previously wasn't. Yeah. And I think, what am I looking forward to in 2023? Get traveling again. I'm really hoping that, we can get back on the road and really just hit business development hard and visit our clients that we've just really not been able to see for a long time now. So on the professional front with that, looking forward to, now that the firm is, becoming more self-managed, looking forward to just more, being able to take more vacations with the family. I mean, it really used to be where I would be on vacation and tethered to my phone or my computer. And it's not like that anymore. And it's great. And so I'm just looking forward to more of that.
Well, congratulations on everything.
Thank
so
you.
Good. So cool to have front row seats to it.
Thank you so much.
It's super cool. What do you hope to leave behind in everything that you've built?
Well, I mean, sometimes I think about, it would be great to, my dad was a bricklayer. He had a business, and I probably was not going to be a bricklayer. Just I don't know too many girl bricklayers, but it would be nice to look. I think I would be really proud if one of my kids went to law school, or somehow I was able to have them be involved in the business after I'm retired. I don't know though, because I had children kind of on the later side. So by the time they're at that point in their life, I hope to have been long retired. But one thing that I'd like to leave behind is potentially an opportunity for my kids, with the business. But I think also I want my kids and my family at the end of the day to say that, to look at me and say, she really gave it her all.
I love that. In everything.
In everything. Yeah. I, don't like to do anything halfway. And so I hope that I am, an inspiration to my kids, to my family, to, business colleagues. And I just hope to be, kind of remembered and seen as somebody that, that really made big commitments and went all in on things.
I love it. I want to ask you one final question for you, Michelle. What does it mean to live a rich life?
Yeah, I think to live a rich life is to, be able to lay your head on the pillow at night and say, you know what, like things are good. Things are really good. And that being from, all different areas, and just being appreciative and having gratitude for what you have in life. I think it means not maybe always having everything that you want, but having enough. And and just generally feeling complete.
So good. I'm really honored to know you. I'm honored to be on your journey with you. And I'm just so impressed every single time we spend time together. If people want to connect with you or reach out or ask questions, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. So my email, which is on our website. Did you want me to give the email?
No, we'll put it in the links. I think we have some of it, but
I think certainly
emails are good.
Yeah. Email at any time is great.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. And I love you, and congratulations on everything. And thanks for sharing your journey.
Thank you. Love you too.